guppies with tails like fire, whiskered catfish, their movements inspire, drifting bubbles, a mesmerizing dance, lost in the moment, given a chance. Aquarium thoughts, they drift and they sway like the gentle current at the end of the day. Serene angelfish gliding with grace, a world of wonder in a watery space. The hum of the filter, a constant refrain, a symphony of life, washing away the strain. Worries dissolving, the calming blue. Aquarium magic, just for me and you. Aquarium thoughts, they drift and they sway like the gentle current at the end of the day. Emerald corridor sifting the sand, a miniature river held in my hand. So next time you're feeling stressed and low, just take a moment, watch the water flow. Aquarium thoughts, a calming sight, a little piece of peace beneath the gentle light.
Hello, good morning, good morning. Hello, Jim's Fish. Hello, welcome to Dave's Aquarium Thoughts. This is Dave. Today, just going to be it's probably going to be a short live stream. I do have to get ready, although I'm mostly ready. Today I'm going down to Fountain Valley to go to the Coast Fish Club Aqua Swap, which is their second annual. It's supposed to be bigger than last year. Last year they only had one tiny room and you had a whole bunch of crowding in through a bunch of tables. This year they opened it up to all 3 rooms there at the center. So it's going to be larger. Hawaiian Fish Keeper is going to be down in there. So if you're watching right now and you're living around the Orange County, you might want to check it out today. I think they do charge $5 admission this year just because basically they made it larger. So anyways, that's that. And what I do want to talk about today is the importance, in my opinion, keep in mind this is my opinion, the importance of a heater controller on your heater for your aquariums, which is one thing I've always suggested, I've always ran once I figured out about them. Basically, what it is a device that controls the heat of your aquarium heater. Basically has its own little temperature probe you can stick in the water, which is nice too because you're not relying on the temperature control on the heater itself, which is basically on the heater itself and it's kind of right by where all the heat's coming out of. So this probe you can actually put anywhere in the aquarium. I typically have mine a little bit away from the heater, that way it's not taking the temperature from the heated water that's freshly heated. One thing I do like about that is the fact that you have more control over the controller, where you can actually calibrate it. I know a lot of heaters you can't calibrate it. So basically you could calibrate it so it's actually reading the temperature accurately, which is one, I think I did a video on it in the past on how to calibrate it. All you pretty much do is just get a glass of ice water. This is a glass, you put like ice in there, you put like water. I think you might want to put salt in there so it actually gets down to 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That way, because basically ice water, it freezes right around those temperatures, and you just check out the temperature on the temperature probe on the controller. And you see, okay, where is it at 0? You let it sit in there. It should go down to 0. Let's say if it like reads like 2 degrees, and you know you have to bring it down a couple degrees to make it calibrated. Or if it's like it says like -2, you bring it up to where it says 0. I'm speaking Celsius right there. Of course, if you want to use Freedom units, then you're pretty much looking at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temperature which water freezes. I think that's right. It's been a while since I've lived in the cold cold area where I actually know where snow starts, which is right. I think it's for 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But yeah, that's the fun thing about like metric versus imperial system is, yeah, if you're looking at the Celsius, you know, 0 is where it freezes, 100 degrees is where it boils. Whereas opposed to the Fahrenheit system, you're looking at like 32 degrees Fahrenheit where it freezes and 212 where it boils. But you probably don't want to calibrate it to boiling. You want to go down to 0 Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit and calibrate it there. That way you have accurate temperature gauge on your heater controller. The other nice thing I do like about them as well is the fact that you can actually use it as a fail-safe. What I typically do is I do set my heaters at around 86 degrees, which is the highest I want the water to be ever heated. And then I just set the heater controller where I want it to be. So if I want it at like say 79 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll set the controller at 79 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where the water is going to stay. Now, if that were to fell on, keep in mind, fell on is the operative word. Good morning, Fish Fam Link. Because I know sometimes you have a heater where it fells on as opposed to fells off, which is not a good situation because if it fells on, all that heater is going to do is just heat up your water, boil fish, and that's not a good situation. Whereas opposed, if you do have that, if you have that fail-safe, if that heater fells on, it'll still go off. Jim's Fish says, I'm trying to get away from heaters. If you get away from heaters and heat the room, that's always a good situation, especially if you have a lot of tanks. If you have like a whole big fish room, it's a lot easier to heat up the whole room as opposed to just all the tanks. Because if you're heating all the tanks, you're just spending a lot of money on heaters. Or the other way is you just go with fish that do not require heaters. If you go with some where you're colder, more temperate water fish, you don't have to worry about heating your tank. Where if you're going with like tropical fish, like I do, they do need heat. So I not only have these 2 aquariums right here, which I have a heater in both. I'm not going to heat the room because basically that's going to run up my heat where I really don't need to be. But now come summertime, my house is going to be warm because it's going to be warmer than it is when it is in the winter. I live in Southern California, so it does get hot here. My house is in the summertime. It's around 79, 80 degrees. I don't cool it down to like extreme levels. I just make sure I'm comfortable because I don't want to spend a lot of money cooling the house, which is nice for my aquariums because then they will be warm. I won't have to worry about the heaters in there. But come winter time, it does get cold sometimes. It goes down to like the 50s mostly, especially at night. Sometimes it goes lower down in the 40s, which means I'm either warming up the house to get the aquariums hotter, warmer is the word I want on that one. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. I do that sometimes when I'm talking. I just lose my train of thought. But yeah. But yeah, on my fish, I do need heaters, especially in the winter. I would love getting away from heaters, like you said, Jim's Fish, but it's the fact of life in the hobby. Especially if you have fish that do require warmer waters. I know I do have fish in here that do need heat. Hey, good morning, Empire Dirt Aquatics. Yep, stopped to say hi. You're getting ready for the swap. Yeah, I have a swap to go to just a different one. I know you're going to the Quad City swap. I'm actually going to Coast Fish Club swap over in Fountain Valley, California. I know you're in a different area where I get excuse me there, where you guys are having an aqua swap as well. I do plan on doing some recording at my aqua swap, so I will have video on that. But hi, hello. thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I know a lot of people are busy this morning, but I figured I'll still do a little stream. I'm busy this morning too, because this is the only reason why I started at 8:30 a.m. this morning is because I need to get ready and go as well. And I think next week I might not be doing a stream next week because I do have some family activities to do next weekend. I'll be going to this one place at the local fairgrounds, which is deals with like STEAM and math and maker stuff, which I'm taking my boys to. I think my wife's going into that one as well, so we're gonna check that out. So I probably won't be streaming next week, but I will follow up the next Sunday with a stream. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing on that stream yet, but I will be streaming at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. So definitely check me out if you're available that Sunday. But yeah, I do like the fact that on the controllers you do have that fail safe. You don't want to have a heater that fails on. And my experience with the water controllers, I've had some. Hey, good morning, Vidnosky. I've had controllers fail on me before, but the nice thing about them failing when they did fail, they fell the opposite direction. They fell off. Instead of showing a lower temperature, what it did, it was actually showing a higher temperature, which was showing the tank as like 96 degrees hot. I'm like, oh crap, my water's too hot. But then I realized, oh no, there's a problem with the probe and it fell off. Where the temperature said like it was 96, but in reality it was only like 74, which that was a nice thing. And on that, I was using the Inkbird at the time, which was an easy fix. It was an $11 fix. I ordered a probe to replace it with, but yeah, I ended up doing a replacement on that probe, and it worked fine. The one thing I will recommend looking for when you're looking at a temperature controller like that is I would recommend finding one where you could actually replace the probe easily, like a user replaceable one where it actually has a thing on the thing where you can connect the probe. That's what I have now. I don't use the Inkbirds anymore, although I still recommend the Inkbirds. The Inkbirds are great. What I switched to is the Miros. I'll show you. I'll pull it up on Amazon in a little bit. Let me see what Jim's Fish here as it says. Yeah, Jim's Fish is trying to heat the room. You got 14 tanks. Exactly. Yeah. You definitely want to heat the room as opposed to heating all 14 tanks. We're slowly turning them down until I can take them away with some South and Central American cichlids, platies, swordtails, mollies, and cribs. Yeah, if you have 14 tanks, you're better off heating the room as opposed to the tanks. Because basically what we're going to run into is you're going to have 14 different heaters, and that's 14 times the energy usage. And there's some of you're probably not going to have an issue, but come wintertime, your electric bill is going to be high. Because basically electric heat is not very easy. I'll keep it as that. What temperature do I keep my house at? In the summertime, I cool it around 78 to 80, which means my tanks will probably be fine. The heater won't go on as much. Come wintertime, though, I probably put it around 70, 72, which I don't want the tanks at 70, 72. Room temperature varies for everyone, yeah. In the winter, I heat the house around 70. In the summertime, I cool it down to 78, 80, which I know is a large stretch, but it's fine for me. And Jim's Fish says right now it's 74, tanks at 71. Yeah, that's the other thing with water. It could take time to actually match the room temperatures. But on the plus side, on the other end of it, it does take a little bit more time to actually cool back down. But yeah. Also another thing when you're looking at the temperature controllers, look for the one with the rubberized probes as opposed to the stainless steel. The stainless steel ones, you have that little cracks in there where the water can get into, which means the probe could fail, which is what happened to the couple that mine failed on, is the water got in there. I know sometimes what people suggest is to, on the stainless steel ones, is to coat it with a layer of silicone, aquarium safe silicone, and that way it could still read the temperatures. And like I said before, you could always calibrate that to where it reads the proper temperatures. Empire of Dirt Aquatic says they run the house between 76 in the winter and 78 in the summer. 76, 78. Your aquariums are probably going to be okay. You might run the heater. You might run the heater a little bit if you want it a little bit warmer. Although if you are, one thing I would recommend too is if you are warming the room as opposed to the tanks, is you might want to still keep a few heaters on hand just in case you need to have a tank or two warmer sometimes. I know a lot of people, when they have ick issues, they do recommend running the heaters at around 86. That way it can kill the ick easier. I don't know if that's still a recommendation, but I know in the past when I read up on that, I haven't had an ick issue in a while, thankfully, knock on wood. Which one of the things they said is run your tanks hotter at 86, which is why I do set the heaters on the inside. I do set them at 86, and I set the temperature controllers to a lower temp, which it stops then. See, fish doing good. Have not noticed any difference in behavior. I would go a little warmer, but others complain that it's hot in the house. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely want to have it to where you're comfortable as well as the fish are comfortable. I mean, it really depends on the fish. I know some fish. I know I have African butterfly fish in there, and cardinal tetras, and they both like the water a little bit warmer. 74 might be kind of skirting where they like to be. They like to be around 78, 80. So I definitely do need to have a heater in my tank for that. But as long as your fish are doing good and you haven't noticed any difference in behavior, you're probably running a good situation. But like I said before, I do have a few recommendations on heaters. I just want to move that out of the way. It's bothering me. But I do have a few recommendations. I do like the Inkbirds. I know the Inkbirds have a smart one as well, which runs on Wi-Fi. I was considering that, but I decided to actually go with the Miros. Miros sells one. Either way, I haven't had any issues with the Miros, and I do like the features on it. One thing I do like to do on that, since it is a smart one, I do like to set the temperature different during the day. Like in the morning, I might have it at I'll have it at a lower temperature in the morning, and then I'll kind of ramp up the temperatures throughout the day. So kind of around midday, it gets up to like where I want the high, and then of course as the day progresses, I set it lower to go back down. And that's at night. It runs cooler to actually mimic how the water is going to be in nature. Empire of Dirt says the fish room runs at 80 to 84, upper tanks runs 80 to 82, and bottom row 72 to 74. Let's see, the only heat added is lights, piston pump, and dehumidifier. Yeah, that's the other nice thing that you're actually looking at, is if you are running a fish room, the fish room is probably going to be warmer than any other room in the house, because you do have a lot of things running, and a lot of things running is going to create friction. It's going to create heat, which in itself is going to heat up the room. And the other thing too is, another nice thing about some water temperature controllers is oftentimes they might also have they'll have a heat function. Some of them, not all of them. Some will have a heat function and as well as a cool function. Say one plug for heat, one plug for cool. And you can actually set it so if it gets too cool or if it gets too hot, you have like a fan blowing or something. But if it gets too hot, then you have the heater running, and vice versa. which is another nice thing on some of the heater controllers. But let me go ahead and pull up some Amazon links right here. I'll show you the one I'm using right now, which is the Miras. Here it is. Let me see, which is the Miras temperature controller. And I leave links in the description for these. It is an affiliate link, so I will get probably 30 cents on the sale if you decide to buy one. It's not much, but let me find it here. Let me see. Let me pull it up on the screen here. Which this is the Miras one. Let me go back to the website here. I can pull it up here, which is this guy right here. The nice thing about this one is it is kind of dual function. You can have it set up to heat or cool. So if you need to run in the summer, if you need to run stuff like fans over the water to get it cooler, you could run that like that as well, or a heater. I haven't had any issues, and this is the one I use to actually control the heat throughout the day. Like I said, in the morning and at night, I run the tanks cooler, and then during the day, I do run it warmer. Probably, like I said, to try to mimic nature. That's the other thing I used to do with. That's another thing I like to do with the Inkbirds. You could set some of them. You could set a daytime temperature and a nighttime temperature. I would try to run the nighttime cooler. That way, A, it's saving electricity, and B, it kind of mimics nature more. Let's see, impaired dirt. All the fish room walls are insulated with R15 to assist keeping the heat in. Oh, there you go. That's, yeah. The nice thing about the hobby is you're always finding ways to, there's always ways to mitigate stuff like that. More insulation. I know some people, they use space heaters in the fish room, which once again, you're kind of running electricity, but you're only running one heater as opposed to a whole bunch. But when you do that, it's a matter of cost benefit analysis, which you're kind of deciding, okay, is it cheaper to run a heater in all the tanks, or is it going to be cheaper to run it in all the tanks? Oh, and another thing, I know some people also have split, like a heat pump split, which basically you can actually set cooling and heating different in each room, which is if you could afford doing that in your house, that's another nice thing you could do in your house is you could set up a mini split in rooms, and you could set different temperatures in different rooms. So if you're looking at a fish room, you can have it warmer as opposed to the rest of the house being cooler. Or if you have the money, you could actually just set it up so only that room has the heat pump, and then you get. Nice thing about heat pumps is you can either run heat or cool, so it's a multifunction thing. But I will be right back. I need to get some water in my throat, so kind of acting up. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry about that. I just needed to get some water. My throat was starting to get a little worn out from talking. And I still have to talk later because I'll probably be, like I said, I'll be recording at the Aqua Swap later. But yeah, another thing you might want to look into if you have the money, not that people have money for it these days, but is getting a heat pump, which is nice because that's what I had to replace my AC unit. I ended up getting a heat pump system where it cools the house nicely, and also when I need it to heat the house, it heats it as well. But yeah, I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford just a specific thing just for the fish room. But if you have the money, that's another nice thing to look at. Or if you, like I said, if you have to replace your AC unit, maybe look into a mini split system where you could actually run a just a specific thing in your fish room as opposed to different things than that around the house. Although I don't know if you could actually run a heat while you're running the cooling. That I do not know, but I don't think you can. But you can still run the different rooms at different temperatures using that method. So if you want the fish room to run warmer, you just, there you go. Or if you're running, well, no, I'm thinking a little crazy right now, but like say in the winter time, you could actually set the heat in the with that system. You'd be able to set like the heat in the fish room at like 80 degrees, but the rest of the house you like set it at like 74, 76. I'm just spitballing there. But anyways, yeah, this is the Miros, which is a smart one. It is controlled by Wi-Fi. You have to, of course, get the app for it. Jim Fish says, "Yeah, that's the one thing that stops me from doing a lot of things. Money. Yeah, yeah. That's especially nowadays with everything going on. But yeah, money is always the deciding factor. But yeah, this, I mean, of course, this one you do have to get the you will have to get the app. But the nice thing you can do on that is you could actually schedule times. If I wanted to as well, say if I'm going to be doing a water change, all I have to do is say, okay, Smoogle, turn off heater, and I'll turn off the heater on those aquariums that I needed to do. And another nice thing is if you're out and about, you can actually keep an eye on your temperature of your tanks. But the nice thing I do like about this one is the fact that I can actually schedule the different throughout the day, different temperatures. Empire of Dirt had plans for a hydronic heat pump system for heating the tanks, but the remodel and the fish room build was already expensive enough. Yeah, exactly. That's the hard part, is finding all the money for all these upgrades. But if you're running a good, if you get to the point where, okay, you could always probably in the future maybe upgrade. Hopefully, maybe when you do those upgrades, make sure you can actually leave room for those upgrades, just in case down the road you come, oh, I have a little bit more extra money, I could do this upgrade to this, I could do that upgrade to that. Not saying you have to, but it's always nice to leave yourself open for those upgrades. But yeah, I personally though, I probably won't go that far. Of course, I don't have a fish room, but I just have a couple tanks here. But you always down the road, always upgrade if you ever need be. But yeah, this is the Miros Smart One, which like I said, you could actually set up schedules, which I love, as opposed to just like on some of the Inkbirds. Some Inkbirds don't have this, where you could actually set a daytime temperature and a nighttime temperature. But yeah, the other nice thing I do like about this one is the fact that you do have, if you see, oops, if you see that little cord right there, it does have a user replaceable probe where you can actually buy a new temperature probe and replace it if it ever fails. I have not had an issue with this one yet. I've had it for about a year now, I think. This is last purchased on February 6, 2024. So it's been a little over a year. I haven't had an issue with this one. But say if I need to replace the probe, all I have to do is buy the new probe and just replace out the probe, as opposed to the whole unit. I know if you're replacing the whole unit, it could become a hassle getting behind your aquarium and changing it all out. But that's another thing I do like about this one. Although some of the Inkbirds have that functionality as well. Although some have it where you can't really easily replace it. Let's see. Yeah, Empire Dirt is right. Some money spent does equal a lot of money saved in the long term. So looking at the whole picture is always best. Yeah, I kind of always have to do that cost saving analysis kind of thing to see, okay, is this going to save me more money in the past or not? Because basically, if you're spending like $5,000 where it's going to save you $6,000 in the long run, it's worth it. But if you're spending like $5,000 where it's only going to save you $2,000, it's really not worth it. Where that extra $3,000 cost is like just something that more convenience for you. It depends. Okay, then you got to look at it. Is that $3,000 that I'm losing? Is that worth it for me? But it's hard to see everything, yeah. And addressing things earlier is best for the pocketbook. But you always have to look at the big picture on those. See if it's worth it. That's another thing with anything. If you're looking at solar, you're looking at, okay, is this going to save me enough money to justify the cost of putting it on my roof over the 20 years? Is it going to save me that much money in the long run or not? I know up front it's going to cost a lot of money, but a lot of times you will be able over the years to save that in your electricity costs. Same thing with anything in the fish hobby. Is you're looking at, okay, is doing this upgrade to my fish room where I'm warming the room as opposed to all these heaters, is that going to save me money or not? Yes or no? Then you got to go from there. Which a lot of times, if you have like 20 tanks or so, a lot of times heating the room is going to be more cost effective, even if you're running like a space heater in that room. But once again, you got to do your research on that, calculate it out. How much is it going to be costing me a month to run the space heater as opposed to 20 heaters in the room? But yeah, this is the one I'm using right now. I still have to do a video on it. One of these days I'll eventually get to that where I'm actually showing my schedule, which is the nice thing I do like about this. And like I said, if I don't do this, but say in the summertime you'd rather run fans to keep the fish tanks cooler as opposed to warmer, you could actually switch to where it switches to cooling mode, where you can actually run the fans if it gets too hot. The one thing I do not think that this has, I don't think it has a heat cool mode, which my Nest thermostat has, where you could set it to. Well, it's not going to work because you're running. This is definitely not going to work because you only have the one plug. But I'm going off on a wild tangent on that one. But yeah, this is the Miras one. The other ones I do recommend is the Inkbirds, which do make good products as well. Although I do recommend keeping an eye which one you are buying. Some also have a temperature controller and humidity controller, like this one right here. And this Inkbird, it has a temperature controller for humidity as well as temperature, which might be nice. If it gets too humid, you could turn on your dehumidifier, as well as if it gets too hot, you could turn on the heater, vice versa. Although I don't really know any real use for that one, but the ones you are looking at is the temperature controllers itself. Like this one right here, it's a dual stage. This is one of those ones that has a plug for the heat as well as the cooling. So on this one, you could actually run it where you have one plug for the heater and one plug maybe for a fan running at the top to help cool it when it gets too hot. And if it gets too hot or if it gets too cold, then you have the heater running. But the ones I do recommend on the Inkbird are the aquarium ones. Like the ones that don't have the I don't know if you could see this, but you kind of want to avoid the ones with the stainless steel probes, like this one right here. The ones you want to look for are the ones that are specifically for the aquarium, which have a different probe. I'm not seeing any pop up right now. Let me add control. Let me add aquarium to that search function. It'll probably pop it up easier. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the one I'm talking about. Now this one right here, this one is the Wi-Fi version, which is probably similar to the Miras. I think the reason why I went with the Miras was because it was cheaper than this one. Though the nice thing about this one actually has two probes where you could actually set them on two sides of the tank and have a better average through the whole tank rather than just one spot in your aquarium. These ones are the rubberized probes, which actually help protect it from water getting in. I do not know if these ones are user replaceable or not. I don't see. Now these ones don't appear to be, because basically if you look at that, it goes on the inside of the probe. So if those probes do fail, if they do fail, which hopefully they don't, hopefully they don't fail on. But like I said, my problem with these when they did fail is they fell off as opposed to falling on. Not saying it can't fail on, but then again, if it fails on, you still have the temperature controller on the actual heater itself, which will protect it in that instance. When you're just hoping that they both don't fail on. But this one does have an app, just like the Miros one. But like I said, yeah, when you are looking at the Inkbird ones, look for the ones with the rubberized probes. But like I said previously, you can always, like I know some recommend on the stainless steel ones, just coating it with the aquarium safe silicone. Sorry, my mind's blanking right now. Now I do have a video. It's one of my more popular ones where I do set up the Inkbirds. Though it's not the Wi-Fi ones. It's more of the it's not dumb ones. More of the dumb ones. Probably like this one right here. Now this one's not the smart one. This is the dumb one. But the nice thing I do see about this one is it does have the user replaceable probe, which all you have to do is if the probe does go bad, which a lot of times that is what you're looking at when these things do go bad is that the actual probe fails, which it doesn't read the temperatures correctly anymore. Which, as you can see on this one is user replaceable, which all you have to do is just, like I said, buy the new probe and just change out the probe, as opposed to just changing out the whole unit. But yeah. Do you guys also run, when you do run heaters, do you guys run temperature controllers on your aquariums, on the ones with the heaters or not? Please let me know. If you're watching, leave it in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, leave it in the comments on that as well. And if you haven't, please, I appreciate it if you do hit the like. Guessing if you are chatting in the chat, you probably are subscribed. I think I have it set up for subscribers only, but or not, I don't know yet. I forget how I set up this this live stream. But yeah, there's a lot of different ones. This one is the this one is one of the examples of the ones with the stainless steel ones, which will still work. For the most part. I've personally have had these fail on me. They fell off as opposed to on though, which is nice. And this is another one that you actually set for heating or cooling. Now, not all of them have the heat cooling function. A lot of times they just have heating. But on some of the Inkbirds, the nice thing is they do have two different plugs. So if you want to run two different heaters in the system, you can actually run two different heaters if you want. Yeah. Also, the nice thing I do see about some of the newer Inkbirds, they do run. They're basically, in the past on the Inkbird, they didn't really build them specifically for aquariums. A lot of times they built them for like home brewing, stuff like that, other purposes. As time goes on, people started using them for aquariums. They did kind of go more towards the aquariums as well as the reptile one. This one is plugged for reptiles and aquarium, but one thing you do see on this one, it does have the stainless steel one, which is not a problem. You could still run that. I haven't had issues until they go bad. But this one is one of the more Bluetooth ones, which is the heating range, which you could actually run it so it's more smart, and you actually schedule the heat. But definitely check out the heat pumps. If you are running, let me go back to here. If you are running heaters within the aquarium, I do recommend it primarily as a fact that it's a lot easier to control, because you're not reaching a lot of the heaters in the aquarium. You have to reach your hand inside the aquarium and adjust temperature, and you're hoping that the temperature controller on the heater itself is accurate. Because a lot of these heaters you can't. Some you can, but some you cannot. You can't calibrate the temperature on the thing, and a lot of times when you're calibrating those, what you're doing is you're relying on other other thermometers that may or may not be accurate. Whereas opposed to, say, like the temperature controller, like the Inkbird, the Miros, you could actually properly do the calibration. Which, like I said, you just get a glass of ice water, probably with salt in there to keep it colder, and you just kind of adjust it to 0 Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a lot easier to do than trying to calibrate it at, like, say, 78 degrees, which you're kind of hoping that the temperature you're using to calibrate it is accurate, as well as the temperature on the heater is accurate. So those are primarily reasons why I do recommend temperature controllers when you are running heaters. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share today. Right now it's about 9:12, which I'll probably be leaving the house in about 15 minutes, so I do need to get ready for that. Like I said, I'll be going down to the Coast Fish Club Aqua Swap. This is their second annual, which is held in Fountain Valley, which is probably like a 30-45 minute drive, and I kind of want to get there early because the first few people in line do get swag bags, which is something I want to try to grab. So if you are in the area, come stop by. I do not know how long I'm going to be there. I know it runs from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. I might not stay to 6 p.m. It depends on how my day goes. I would love to stay till 6 p.m., but it really depends on how it goes. Probably chit chat with some people. Maybe try to chit chat with Hawaiian Fish Keeper, which is going to be there today as well. He's I guess emceeing, so he might be busy. but yeah, I do like going to the fish club. It's been a while. I kind of hadn't had the time. I've been doing family things on Sundays, which Sundays is typically my family day, which is kind of hard when I'm actually streaming on Sundays now too. But I am, of course, going to be putting family first. If I have something to do with the family, I'll be doing that as opposed to live streaming. Like I said, next week I probably will not be live streaming because I have a thing with the family to do. But the following week I probably will. I'll probably stream the following Sunday. I haven't figured out what I'm going to be doing on that Sunday, but yeah. But I did do some video recording last night on something which was an update on something I did last year, which is a DIY project I was working on the live stream. I'll be giving you guys an update on that. So expect that video to be out shortly, as well as the video I'll be doing when I'm at the Aqua Swap. I'll be recording there. Definitely check that out whenever I put that out. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that. I know I did a video last year with the first annual one. This year is probably going to be better. So probably be a longer video. Maybe not. But I'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm going to cut this right now because basically, like I said, I need to get ready. I need to get going. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating in the chat, especially Jim's Fish, as well as Empire of Dirt Aquatics. If you are watching this on the rewatch, thank you very much for staying this long on the rewatch. Please also if you're rewatching, please drop your comments in the comments. Do you use a temperature controller? Which one do you recommend? I know a lot of people do recommend the Inkbird, which I recommend the Inkbird. I don't use them anymore, but I still recommend them because primarily the ones I use right now are the Miros. Because I decided to go with more smart functionality on it, and it was cheaper than the Inkbird. Like I said, money is always going to be the issue. And I haven't had the issue with the Miros. Miros is running fine. They're running perfectly on my aquariums here. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great week, great day. Empire of Dirt, I hope you enjoy your swap that you're going to at the Quad City swap, wherever that is. Sorry, I don't know where that is. I could probably look it up easily just like that. But anyways, have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.
The day is done, the lights are low. Gazing at the tank, the worries slow. Little fishies gentle current.